Hello everyone and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. So today we're going to prepare a nice roasted chicken with some beautiful sauteed mushrooms. And I have here a 3-pound whole chicken. And what I'd really like to share with you is how I break it down. At the restaurant I prepared a lot of chicken. And when I would get in my case of chicken, this was the first thing that I did was break this down. So why don't I show you here? I have one already prepared and I'm going to come around so that you can see it well. I have here the whole chicken breast. I have the leg and the thigh here, which can also be broken down even further. And I have the wings and I also have the back. So the back is great for preparing a stock along with the wings. The thighs are wonderful for a sheet pan chicken dinner during the week. And then you have your beautiful breast, which this would serve 2 people, 2 to 4 people, depending on how much you want to serve. So let's get started. I have here about anywhere from 3 to 3.5 pound chicken is what you're looking for. So here we have our legs and our thigh, and that's where we're going to start. And you want to push your finger in so that you make sure that you have all the skin completely covering the breast, because when we go ahead and cook the chicken breast, you want to make sure that the flesh is not exposed, that the skin is going to keep it well protected. So just take your knife and just follow it through, and then you're going to take the leg, hold on to the leg and snap it back. And now here we have the bone exposed. So then you just take your knife and go all the way through. And here we have our leg and our thigh. And you want to go on the other side and do the same thing. Push the skin so that there's plenty of skin on the breast meat. And just take your knife and expose the flesh and then snap it back so that you can actually see the bone. It's right here. And just take your knife and follow it through. That skin. So here again we have another nice thigh and leg. And then you want to take the wing, the little drumette you leave on, and take the other wing off. So then we have the back here. You just take your knife and you want to cut through here. You're just separating it from the breast. And then you just want to snap it back. Once you snap it back, you're able to cut this off. And this makes delicious stock. So now here we have our breast. And you can see that the flesh is nicely covered. It's not exposed. That's very, very important here. Okay? And now we'll just tie this up so that it cooks evenly. We'll use a little bit of butcher twine. And you just want to put it underneath, just put it underneath your chicken. Bring it nice and tight together, crisscross it, go underneath, flip it over, and just make a knot. And that's all you have to do. And just cut off any excess twine. And here we have our chicken that we're going to roast like this. Okay, I just washed my hands so that I can season our chicken. You want to shower it with kosher salt. It's really important to really shower it so that you get beautiful flavor. I just have diamond kosher salt, and you want to shower high so that you can actually watch the salt land on the skin. looks great. Okay. You can also add a little bit of black pepper if you'd like, but the salt is what is most important here. Okay, so we have our chicken breast ready to sear. I have a saute pan on the stove, a non-stick saute. You can also use a cast iron. And I'm heating up my pan on medium heat, and then I'm just going to add some canola oil to the pan. And what we're going to do is first cook it on one side, then the other side, then we will turn it over completely and then on its bottom. When that's all done and seared nicely, we have nice golden brown chicken breast. We're going to put it on this quarter sheet pan with the rack and put it in 350 degrees for 20 minutes and check and see if it's done. I do have a thermometer, and I highly recommend that everyone does have a thermometer. The chicken should reach 165 degrees to be completely cooked, okay? So let's get some oil into our pan. Let's make sure it's nicely coated on the bottom. And I'm going to turn it up to high to make sure our oil is nice and hot, and then I will go ahead and put it on its side. And we're looking just to get a nice beautiful color. We're not really cooking it. We're getting the skin a nice color, and then it's the oven that's going to do the cooking. So it's a nice roasted chicken. Then we can work on our mushrooms that we're going to serve with the chicken. I'm just going to bring it in front of you so that you can see that I'm going to put it on its side, straight into the pan, and then set it on the stove. I have it on medium-high, and I'm just going to let that cook for a little bit, and then we'll turn it over to the other side. I have some beautiful hen of the wood mushrooms, but you can use a variety of mushrooms. You can use oyster mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, trumpet mushrooms, whatever you really like. A nice variety would be beautiful here. But today we're going to work with these beautiful hen of the wood mushrooms. They're just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so if you happen to have seen the other video that I did with the oven roasted mushrooms, it's basically the same exact preparation. The only difference is we're going to do it here on the stove. I have some shallots and fresh thyme, a little bit of stock, a little bit of butter because we want to try to create a nice sauce afterwards. Let's just check the chicken, see how it's doing. Oh, it looks beautiful. It still needs a little more color. So I'm just going to let it go for another minute or so. So what I have here is just one nice large shallot. Will work fine for about a pound of mushrooms. Some fresh thyme if you still have some coming out of your garden. So here I just have it very finely diced, our shallot, and I took some thyme right off of the stem. So this thyme is chopped, just a rough chop, and I have about 2 teaspoons here for about the pound of mushrooms that we're going to cook. I love the flavor of a fortified wine here, so I'm going to use a little bit of Madeira. You can use Marsala, you can use Madeira, you can use sherry, or you can just eliminate it altogether. If you don't want that flavor there, you absolutely don't have to do it. But I'm going to put about 1/4 cup. And then we just have a little bit of chicken stock, about 1/2 cup of chicken stock, just to make a nice little sauce for our chicken. And of course, we'll finish it off with a little bit of unsalted butter. So in regard to the mushrooms, let me just check our chicken. Okay, hopefully you can see how beautiful golden brown it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it on this side and put it back on the stove. and let that go. Okay, so with these beautiful hen of the wood mushrooms, you just have to pull them apart. They're really very easy. That's all you have to do with these mushrooms. They're so nice. I think I have another little small piece here, so we can pull this one apart too. And you just pull it apart. That's all you have to do with these. Or if you were doing creminis, you could slice them. But this is my favorite mushroom. Okay, so you want to get your pan heated up, and I think in another video I've done some sauteed mushrooms, but let's just turn this down. We'll let the pan, I have it on fairly low to start heating up the pan before we raise the heat. And once again, we're going to put a little bit of canola oil, and the mushrooms will go in first. You don't want to overcrowd them. If there are more mushrooms than the size of your pan, it's important that you would do it in batches. Let's see how this side is doing. Oh, looks great. Okay, so you can see that this side is a nice golden brown. So now turn it completely upside down so that you can get it fully caramelized. Okay, so our pan is heating up. It's getting nice and warm, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of oil. You just really want to coat the bottom a little bit. You don't want too much. Okay, let that heat up. Let's see how our chicken is doing. Look at the bottom. Oh, looks great. Okay. You can see how the bottom is, the top of the breast is all nice and brown except for that little tip down there. So that's usually when I'll put it on its side, like so, just for a minute, just to get that caramelized as well. And that doesn't usually take very long, maybe about 20 seconds or so. Okay, let's come around so that you can see the whole thing here. So now you can see how nice and brown it is. Now you can see that this part is still white. So now I will turn it this way and put that on the stove and get that nice and caramelized. There we go. See how our pan is doing. Oh, it's nice and hot. So I think we can turn it up a little bit more. I don't want to get it too high. And you can see there's very little oil. It's just enough just to coat the bottom. Okay. So now we can add some of our mushrooms. And as I mentioned, you don't want to overcrowd. So we can probably do this in 2 batches. And when you put them in, you don't want to move them around. Just let them do their thing. And I have a little bit of butter here. I'm going to check my chicken first. See how it's doing. Okay. So I think you can see that it's nice and brown. So now we will just set it straight down and let that brown a minute, and then it's going to go into the oven. So let me just grab a little bit of butter, very little, just little pinches of butter you want to put in. Oh, I can already smell these mushrooms. They have the most wonderful smell. Okay, just tiny little bits of butter around the edge. It's going to move one. Oh yeah, it's definitely caramelizing. So the bottom of these mushrooms are all starting to caramelize. So I'm going to just move it around a little bit. turn it down so that it can continue cooking. And we can add a little bit of kosher salt at this point. Let that keep cooking. Okay. So I will show you our chicken. Here is our chicken. You can see, and even the bottom is nicely brown. So now we will take this, put it on our sheet pan, and this will go into the oven. Okay, let's see how these are doing. Oh, they look great. Okay, these are nice and caramelized. I'm going to show them to you. There we go. I'm going to put them on the plate, and we will do one more batch the same exact way. A little bit of oil on the bottom, exactly the same way, very little. We can turn the heat up again, get it started. So let's put in the rest of our mushrooms. So now let's add the rest of our mushrooms. And along with that, oh, I could just eat these mushrooms by themselves. They're so good. Okay, now we'll add our one large shallot. Now I can add some thyme. I think this is a good time now to add our Madeira wine. Just wanted to glaze that until all of the wine has evaporated. Add a little bit of black pepper. Oh, it smells so good. Can add a little more thyme. I would say I had about 2 teaspoons of chopped thyme here. Okay, it's completely evaporated. You always want to cook off the alcohol. That's really important when you're cooking with alcohol, to make sure that you cook it off. So I have about a half a cup of stock here, and I think it's ready. It's nice and caramelized. It smells great. So I think we can go ahead and add our stock, and then we will finish it off with a little bit of butter. Okay, I have a spoon here. I'm just going to taste the broth. That is delicious, and it tastes like pure mushroom, which is what you're looking for. Okay, our chicken has been resting for about 15 minutes or so. It did take about 35 minutes to reach the 165 degrees. So just check and have yourself a good thermometer so that you can check it. Another way to check it is back here, and if it's nice and firm, the chances are that it's perfectly cooked. But I always find that a thermometer is absolutely wonderful to have in the kitchen. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is remove the twine. And then you just want to go along the bone here. Okay, kind of hot already. Here we go. There. Just remove that. If there's any skin here, you just want to take that off. And here we like to cut around just so that you can see the bone nicely. That's how we did it at the restaurant. There you go. And now you want to slice it. Okay. And you'd want to do the same on this side. Just go right along the breastbone. Cut that little piece off. That looks good. And then just go around and expose the bone. And then slice this one the same way. Okay, I just put them back on the stove to heat up. So, and that's all I want to do at this point is just heat them up. Turn on the light. And now I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of butter. Just set my mushrooms down here. And this is a nice, easy presentation. Okay, so let's start with the mushrooms on the bottom of your dish. And you want a nice bed so that the chicken can sit right on top. Just fan your chicken right over the top and then go in and grab some of this beautiful mushroom broth around the edge of your dish. You can put the parsley underneath. You can also put your parsley around your dish. You can put some right into the mushroom as well. And I do have this beautiful pineapple sage that is flowering, and it literally tastes like pineapple. It's amazing. It's so, so good. So I think we will garnish our chicken with this beautiful pineapple sage. Okay, and our dish is complete. Come over so that you can see it. Here is, there you have, there you can see the mushrooms. Okay, this is it. Perfect. And I remembered that I had made a batch of biscuits, so I think a biscuit will be perfect with this dish. I guess I'll call it my version of chicken and biscuits. Okay, that's it. Thanks so much. I hope you try to make this chicken. It's delicious. Okay, take care. See you again soon. Bye now.